Hello everyone, welcome back to Tri-Stage Builders. So back out here at this two-story bathroom extension. Today we're going inside. They have got their rough-in inspections. So with that being the case, we're gonna be doing insulation and sheetrock now. Normally, in most cases, you're going to get your insulation in and then you're going to have to get another inspection in accordance after you do the insulating. But out here, because this is just a very small addition, the inspector's not concerned about coming out here for that. Plus, on top of that, the good thing is with me videoing everything as well, if he does want to double check, make sure that the insulation is correct, he'll be able to see the video if he wants to. I will have that to show him. So for insulating here, what I'm going to do, because this is part of the original part of the house right here, but it is adjacent to the exterior, I'm going to replace the insulation that was in here from here down. Leave that where it is. I'm not going to insulate here because there's no point. It's an open doorway. This is now inside the home. So that doesn't need to be insulated. I will not be insulating. Normally I will, but I will not be insulating in between the two floors in this ceiling. I'll normally do that because it helps keep heat transfer from one floor to the next a little bit. Helps you be able to maintain a different temperature on both floors, where a lot of people end up with issues with too much heat upstairs and not enough downstairs, stuff like that, or the opposite when it's wintertime. Summertime, with heating and cooling. But the reason I'm not going to do that is because with these original ceilings being open and being able to look up there is no insulation in the rest of the house between floors. And if I add it in the addition, it's going to create moisture, humidity issues from the addition to the existing home because of them being basically climatized to a different degree. So as far as the ceiling goes down here, I'm not going to do insulation there. But what we will be doing down here on this floor is we will be insulating the rest of these 2x6 walls with R19 because they are 2x6 walls. And then we will be sheetrocking over the top of it all. Not, of course, insulating behind the shower wall because, again, it's just a wall that's inside here. The other thing is on the outside here, because of the cantilever, there I will be putting insulation, should be R30 on the exterior. But I probably won't do that at this point. I may do it... I don't know. Just depends on time frame. I might end up doing it while we're here, but otherwise I'll probably do it later, very shortly before he has the siding guys out here to do the soffit. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and get started with insulating the walls in here. Or actually, I might just move straight to hanging sheetrock on the ceilings to get that out the way. Basically work our way from the top down like normally do. So in here should be fairly simple, other than the fact that there's a lot of cuts that I'm going to have to make because of this wall, exhaust fan, stuff like that. So I'm going to start here, go this way, and then fill in on either side of this wall with whatever's needed left over. In here for the ceiling, I'm going to need to I need to put a little block up here to be able to screw sheetrock to, And then I'm going to need to cut this opening a little bit bigger to clean it up and come over where I can fasten to a stud over here. Or I can put another block up here, would also work, but either way, I want to clean this up a little bit because it's very jaggedy cut. So that's all we need for the ceiling down here. Then I'll insulate the walls and start sheetrocking. I'm probably just going to cut this across here and down through here with a multi-tool and remove that section. And then same thing in here. I may leave this piece because it is still, you know, from wall to wall. Just depends on where my cuts are. But over here, I'll cut across here and then down here to remove that. It's not worth, you know, the extra time to make that angled cut and then do all the patching with the sheetrock mud and tape is not worth it. It's a lot easier, quicker, faster, cheaper to just go ahead and put a new piece there that goes from wall to wall edge. Anyways, so like I said, I'm going to start with this ceiling in here. Not sure how well y'all are going to be able to see. We'll see. Well, I tell you, this bathroom right here is like a bad race car. Ain't got no room to work with. Alright, now that my wife is both smiling and cringing really hard at my bad dad joke, I guess I'm going to get back to work. Alright, so real quick, well, not real quick. I had a couple phone calls I had to take care of real quick. So while doing that, I insulated all of the walls in here with the R19. So it was going to be difficult to video it anyway with just stuff in the way. I also I used a stick to stuff a bunch of the old insulation, used it to chink in this corner up and down, so that is nice and filled. Also the same thing in the corner over here. So now it's ready to go ahead and start hanging the sheetrock on the walls. So going to get started with that. All right, so my phone died out on the last little bit of this, but got it all finished down here. I went ahead and put some leftover insulation in where the window's going, just to help cut down some of the air coming through until the windows are in. But we've got green board all the way around the shower. Most people won't put it up above, but there's always splashback, so I did it there anyways. I also did it over here, again, not required, but it's right across from the shower, so I did it there. And then just because I had some pieces, I had to get it out of pieces anyway. The bottom going around here, so almost like a baseboard, I did that out of leftover pieces of the green board, like from where this had to be cut down for the shower anyway. But this is done down here, and now I'm going to move to the upstairs location, insulate that up there, the ceiling with R30, the walls with R15 because it's only 2x4 walls up there. This was R19 because it was 2x6. So we'll be using R15 in the walls, and we'll be using R30 on the ceiling. But before we do the R30, I will be stapling these in between them up against the roof line. Look like this. Of course, this is multiples of them. They're nice and thin. So just going to staple this up to the ceiling or roof, the bottom of the roof sheathing. And what that's going to do is that'll create a channel for air to be able to get from the eaves up through to help allow the roof to breathe. So I'm going to put that in, then we'll be putting in the R30 in the ceiling, and like I said, we'll be using the R15 in the walls. Hopefully I have more here than I need, but we will see. I had just grabbed what I thought would be enough. 2 bundles of R30, 3 of R15. Like I say, hopefully should be plenty for this. For down here, I used 2 bundles of R19, but upstairs there is a little bit, it's a little bit bigger, of course, where we get that overhang. So, but also the walls are shorter. So with that being the case, we'll see. Alright, that's this whole thing insulated. Again, I went ahead, I just used some pieces there to cover up that window to help with keeping the air better. Because he's trying to run the AC in here in the main part, and then it's just letting it go straight out the window though. So I got just a little tiny piece left over of R30, and I got in one whole piece of R15. That's what I had left out of the bundles. And I have one whole unopened bundle of each. This will probably get used outside on the eaves over here and on behind me. We'll use that, and then part of the leftover bundle of R30, but the R15 extra bundle should be able to go back to the store. So now I'm going to work on sheetrocking this. He was not wanting to sheetrock this entire thing because, again, he's planning on doing like the tub and all that and the water lines and everything later. So what I think he was wanting to do the ceiling. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to do the ceiling, and then I'm going to measure up 4 foot, half of an inch, make a line around, and then I'll do that top board for the walls. I'm thinking that's what I'll do. The reason why is because then I can actually mud the corner, which is going to be difficult, which is more difficult to do, the corner at the top of the wall. But it'll still leave the bottom open for him to do all the fishing of water lines and everything else that he's going to need to do for that. So anyways, that's what I'm going to do, get started on next, after I get this mess out of my way, because there's not much room up here, and I got to get that jack up here and in place, and the material I'm going to have to cut downstairs and try and work up through the stairs, which will be interesting, but we'll do it. Alright, so that is this room up here done. All fully sheetrocked as far as we're going to take it. So like I said before, he wants the bottom left open for whenever he finally gets the tub to go in. So all that plumbing will be easier to do, and whatever wiring may need to be done for that as well. The next step is going to be finishing all of this, mudding it, which what I'm going to do probably with that is do it, even though it is, I've been taking stuff outside, don't need these in here, but is I'm probably going to do it in one video. I've been doing the rest of these as day, what gets done in a day, but with the sheetrock mud, because it is basically like to do the tape coat might only take maybe 3 hours. I don't know, because there's a lot of different cuts even in these little areas, especially the one downstairs. This one up here is not too bad, but the one downstairs, there's a lot of corners, a lot of cuts, a lot of angles. So with that being the case, it may take longer. I might end up putting in 2 videos versus 3, because like I said, so you're going to do a tape coat, then you're going to do what's called a bed coat, which is a very thick, heavy coat. And then once that dries, you're going to do a skim coat, which is basically kind of just smoothing out and adding a little bit here and there wherever the bed coat may have shrunk some or not been enough that you could put on at one time. But either way, so like I said, I might do that as one video, even though it's stretched out over 3 days. But essentially what I'll be doing is I'll come here for a couple hours, knock it out real quick, and then go to another job and work there. So that's going to be it for this video. Everything's hung. On this over here is only 36 inches on one side and 32 on the other. So I did use 4 screws. For a wall, the code standard is 4 screws in a stud, but I will usually do 5. I always like to go above. On a ceiling, the code is usually 5, and for there, I'll go usually somewhere between 5 or 6. It depends on the way the ceiling is itself. But anyways, for this video, this is going to be it. I'm going to head home. Hope you enjoyed watching. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you the next time.